The announcement came through the Academy's communication grid on a perfectly ordinary morning, which should have been my first warning that everything was about to go sideways. Professor Velkrin stood at the front of our xenobiology classroom, her 4 eyes gleaming with what I can only describe as dangerous enthusiasm. You know that look, the one that says somebody somewhere made a terrible decision, and we're all about to pay for it. Students, she began, her mandibles clicking together in barely contained excitement. Today marks a historic moment for Galactic Academy Station 12. We have been selected to participate in the Cultural Exchange Initiative. I exchanged glances with my classmate Brel, whose skin had already shifted to a nervous purple. The Sienne beside me simply groaned. Each species, Velkrin continued, oblivious to our growing dread, will present their homeworld's traditional classroom companion. A small creature that represents learning, curiosity, and companionship. Oh, this was going to be spectacular. And by spectacular, I mean catastrophically terrible. The presentations started innocuously enough. The Prixin brought something that looked like a floating cotton ball with eyes. It hummed pleasantly and apparently helped students focus through harmonic resonance. Adorable. Safe. Exactly what you'd expect from a species whose idea of extreme sports is competitive flower arranging. The Chichian delegation presented a bioluminescent slug that changed colors based on emotional states in the room. Useful for a species that communicates primarily through empathic wavelengths. Still perfectly reasonable. Then came the Yarvek contribution, a small crystalloid being that organized information and created holographic study guides. Helpful, contained, and completely incapable of biting anyone's appendages off. I was starting to relax. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad after all. That's when the human representative walked in. His name was Marcus, and he moved with the kind of confidence that immediately set off every prey instinct my ancestors had spent millions of years developing. He was tall by human standards, which meant he towered over most of us, wearing what humans call a grin that showed far too many teeth. Hey everyone. His voice boomed across the classroom with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for hunting calls. I'm super excited to introduce you to Earth's most popular classroom pet. He was carrying a transparent containment unit. Standard protocol. We all had them. Mine held the cotton ball thing, which was currently humming a soothing melody. I leaned forward, curious despite myself. What would humans consider an appropriate educational companion? They were omnivores, right? Probably something small and fuzzy. Maybe one of those hamsters I'd read about in the cultural database. Marcus set down the container with surprising gentleness. Inside was a coiled nightmare. This, he announced proudly, is Rex. The thing in the container was easily 2 meters long, covered in scales that gleamed under the classroom lights. Its body was pure muscle, coiled like a deadly spring. A forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air, and I swear every being in that room took a step backward simultaneously. What? Professor Velkrin's voice had climbed 3 octaves. In the name of the Galactic Council, is that? He's a ball python. Marcus said this like it explained everything, which it absolutely did not. One of Earth's most common classroom pets. Super friendly, totally harmless to humans, and a great teaching tool about reptile biology and ecosystem balance. Harmless. Harmless. The creature was a living tube of death covered in scales that probably deflected small arms fire. That is a predator, squeaked Brel, who had now turned a shade of purple I didn't know was biologically possible. Well, yeah, Marcus admitted, opening the container with absolutely no sense of self-preservation. But he only eats once every 2 weeks, and he's already been fed, so nobody here is in danger. Nobody here is in danger. Those were the exact words uttered seconds before every disaster in recorded history. The python began to move, uncoiling itself with muscular precision. Its head emerged first, equipped with heat-sensing pits and eyes that held the cold calculation of a being that existed solely to consume other living things. Those jaws could unhinge. I'd done my research on Earth fauna after the humans joined the galactic community, mostly so I'd know what to run from. This thing could swallow prey larger than its own head. Several students were already backing toward the exits. The Prickson's cotton ball had stopped humming and was now emitting a high-pitched distress frequency. Even a Yarvek crystalloid dimmed its glow, apparently trying to avoid being noticed. Marcus scooped up the python with practiced ease, draping it across his shoulders like some kind of horrifying scarf. See? Gentle as can be. Rex here has been teaching kids about biology for 3 years now. Kids love him. Human children. Human children loved this thing. The same species that thought appropriate playground equipment involved heights that would terrify most spacefaring races now made sense in a terrible, horrible way. Would anyone like to touch him? Marcus asked, stepping toward the front row. The exodus was immediate. 15 different species, representing 12 different homeworlds, suddenly discovered pressing business elsewhere in the station. I'll admit it, I was among them. Only Professor Velcrin remained, her 4 eyes fixed on the python with scientific fascination fighting against biological terror. Fascinating, she whispered. And that's when I knew things were about to get much, much worse. The situation deteriorated faster than a Zelvian trade negotiation, which is saying something, because those usually collapse within 30 seconds. Professor Velcrin, displaying the kind of academic curiosity that gets people killed in every horror scenario ever documented, actually moved closer to Marcus and his serpentine companion. Her scientific interest had apparently overridden the common sense that evolution had graciously provided. The musculature is remarkable, she murmured, reaching out one trembling appendage. How does it consume prey items larger than its own diameter? Marcus's face lit up like a supernova. Oh no. Oh no. 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 He was about to explain. Great question. So, Rex here has a super flexible jaw structure. The bones aren't fused like ours. He can literally walk his mouth over prey using independent jaw movement, and then his body expands to accommodate. 3 more students fled. I counted. The Visian actually teleported out, which was impressive because they usually save that ability for actual life-threatening emergencies. Apparently, this qualified. I stayed, though, not because I was brave. Let me be absolutely clear about that. I stayed because my legs had stopped functioning, locked in the ancient freeze response that my ancestors used when confronted by something higher on the food chain. Survival instinct is great and all, but sometimes it picks the absolute worst moments to engage the emergency brake. Where are the students going? Marcus looked genuinely confused, like he couldn't fathom why anyone would object to being in the same room as a mobile digestion system with scales. They appear to be experiencing acute survival anxiety, Velcrin said diplomatically. Perhaps you could demonstrate Rex's, educational value? Why did she say that? Why would anyone say that? Marcus brightened. Absolutely. So, ball pythons are constrictors, right? They're ambush predators in the wild. They wait patiently, sometimes for days, then strike when prey comes within range. The constriction isn't about crushing, it's about suffocation. Every time the prey exhales, Rex tightens just a little bit more until. Educational value. I heard myself shouting, my voice cracking somewhere between terror and hysteria. What exactly are human children learning from this? Advanced assassination techniques? Marcus actually laughed. Laughed. The python's tongue flicked out again, tasting my fear on the air probably, and this maniac was laughing. Dude, relax. They learn responsibility, biology, proper handling of animals, respect for nature. It's all good. Respect for nature. Humans respected nature by bringing apex predators into rooms full of children. This explains so much about their species. Their movies, their literature, their inexplicable fondness for activities that involve plummeting toward planetary surfaces with nothing but fabric to slow their descent. On Earth, I said slowly, trying to wrap my mind around this concept, you put these in classrooms. With younglings. Small, defenseless younglings. Well, yeah, usually starting around age 5 or 6. Sometimes younger if they're in nature program. Age 5. They're young, we're confronting predators at age 5. The same age most species were still learning basic language skills and not putting things in their mouths. That's when Rex decided to move. The python flowed from Marcus's shoulders onto the demonstration table with liquid grace. Every scale caught the light, creating a mesmerizing pattern that probably hypnotized prey in the wild. It moved toward me, slowly, deliberately. My 3 hearts were competing to see which could evacuate my chest cavity first. "He likes you," Marcus said cheerfully. "He's just curious, probably attracted to your body heat. You're putting out some serious thermal signatures right now." Of course I was putting out thermal signatures. I was approximately 3 seconds from a complete cardiovascular failure. The python's head swayed slightly, those heat pits analyzing me, calculating whether I would fit inside its expandable nightmare body. I had read the specifications. I knew exactly how large a meal this thing could theoretically consume. I also knew that I fell well within those parameters. "Does he bite?" The question escaped before I could stop it. "Only if he mistakes you for food. But like I said, he already ate, so you're totally safe." "Probably. I mean, he's never bitten anyone at school." "Well, there was that one time, but Tommy had been handling mice in the lab right before, so really that was on Tommy for not washing his hands properly. Probably safe. Never bitten anyone except Tommy." This was fine. Everything was fine. Professor Velkrin had pulled out her recording device, documenting every second of this disaster. The predatory assessment behavior is extraordinary. Notice how it samples the chemical composition of the environment. On Earth, what ecological niche does this species occupy? "Oh, they're really important for rodent control," Marcus explained, while Rex continued his slow approach toward my imminent death. "In the wild, they help keep ecosystems balanced. Plus, they're super low maintenance. Only need to eat every couple weeks, don't need much space, very chill temperament." Chill. He called a predator that kills through suffocation chill. The python was now close enough that I could see my reflection in its scales. My skin had gone through several color changes, currently settling on what I'm fairly certain was a shade called impending doom gray. "Would you like to hold him?" Marcus asked. Every cell in my body screamed no. My ancestors, reaching back through evolutionary history, collectively screamed no. The spirits of prey animals throughout the galaxy screamed no. Yes, I heard myself say. I don't know why. Maybe it was academic curiosity. Maybe it was the challenge in Marcus's eyes. Maybe I had simply broken on a fundamental level. Marcus gently lifted Rex and guided him toward my arms. The snake was heavy, far heavier than I expected. Pure mascot. I could feel the strength coiled in that body, the potential energy of a hunter built over millions of years of evolution. And then something unexpected happened. Rex settled into my arms, draped across them like he belonged there. His scales were smooth, surprisingly warm. He wasn't tense or aggressive. He was just existing, being a snake, doing snake things. "See?" Marcus grinned. "Told you. Total sweetheart." I stood there, holding an apex predator, and realized something profound. Humans didn't bring predators into classrooms in spite of the danger. They brought them because understanding the things that scared you is how you stop being scared. They taught their young to respect nature, not fear it, to coexist with creatures that could harm them, but usually chose not to. It was insane, reckless, absolutely Mel. It was also kind of brilliant. "So," I said carefully, as Rex's tongue flicked near my face, "when does he eat again?" Marcus checked his datapad. "Not for another 12 days. "Why?" "Just, planning my schedule accordingly." Professor Velkrin clicked her mandibles in what might have been approval. "I believe this cultural exchange initiative may prove more educational than anticipated." From the doorway, I heard Brell's voice, still tinged with purple panic. "Is it over? Can we come back?" I looked down at Rex, who looked back at me with those cold, calculating eyes that held absolutely no malice. Just the simple existence of a being perfectly adapted to its purpose. "Yeah," I called back. "Come meet our new classmate. But maybe wash your hands first." especially if you've been handling anything that smells like food. Humans, I decided, were absolutely terrifying. But their pets? Their pets were pretty cool, even if they could technically eat me. Probably. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.